stuff, and I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm going to be vulnerable, like it or not. My name is Jason Saltzman. I'm a seasoned entrepreneur, which basically means that I've had several businesses and I got kicked in the ass a bunch of times and knocked down, and I built myself back up and I kept going, and I built a couple of businesses that have become successful. Success is sort of a subjective term, which we'll go into a little bit later. But for all intents and purposes, I raised the collective of my businesses almost $500 million, all said and done, through various stages of different rounds, through seed round, through Series A, B, and C funding. I dealt with private equity groups, venture capital firms to get that done. We bootstrapped companies, which you'll learn a lot of these terms as we go. I've also written for several different publications, Entrepreneur Magazine, Inc. Magazine. Some of my work has been published in the Wall Street Journal and CNN. I've worked with the State Department. I went overseas and I've evangelized entrepreneurship to bring people together, to bring different cultures together, to learn how to focus on solving a problem that's sort of not right in front of your face, right? A more global problem. So we can sort of come together, give us a reason to come together. I built structured mentorship programs with some of the largest companies in the world. And that all sounds great, but in reality, I'm just a guy who's been kicked in the face a ton of times, who's been able to figure some things out and keep on moving. And that's a mindset more than anything else. That's not necessarily a talent that you're born with. That's just being resilient. And we're going to talk about these things, and how this course came about is JC, who's the dean of the Honors College. He was a fan of my reading. And I got involved with the university at the board level, which is a whole different story, and it goes on forever. He said to me, the honor students, they would love to hear some of your logic. And when it comes to that logic, it wasn't about building a business. It was getting over things like anxiety, getting over things like imposter syndrome and not thinking you're good enough and being so hard on yourself. I write about these things and I'm very transparent and open. And he said, I really would love to pass on this knowledge to the honor students, because even the honor students who have proved themselves on so many different levels, they still feel so insecure. And you talk about these insecurities in pretty much every single one of your writings and in your pieces. And I said, why don't we do a course on it? And he's like, let's do it. And that's what this is. Right? So this course isn't necessarily about building a business, although it will be embodied in the elements of how to do and what to do. This course is merely about getting shit done and how to really believe in yourself and know that you're here for a reason. You're not just here because of luck, and you're not just here because, you made a couple moves the right way. You're here because you deserve to be. And you're here because you're going to make an impact on this world. And if you could dream a little bit about what that impact is, hopefully some of this course will show you some tools that I've learned over the years to get shit done, right? This course isn't about taking a square peg and putting in a round hole. This course is about questioning things, questioning our abilities, questioning what we're capable of, and then talking to me as a mentor, helping you solve some of these problems as we get to point A to point B, and hopefully point C and point D. Some of that could be about building a business. Some of that could be potentially building the craziest profile ever, a profile deserving of who you are, so you can get that badass job that you really want. Some of it could be focusing on more networking, like how do you meet amazing people? How do you get superstars in your life? Because when I meet famous people, they're sort of extraordinarily ordinary, right? When you get down to it, like, how do you get these people in your life? Because you'll learn about surrounding yourself around the right people. Sort of like the saying, like, you're the sum of the closest 4 people you have around you. And negative energy is real. And if you bring negative energy around you, there's no question that your life is going to be surrounded around a negative force field. and how to like navigate around it. So we're going to cover all this stuff, and we're going to do it naturally, meaning like there's not going to be a moment where we have a class that's just on negative energy, right? You're going to face negative energy and we're going to talk about it, right? And we're going to do this like 3 different ways. Now, because I am only one person and I see the world through my eyes and my perspective, my cultural background, my history, I will be bringing in friends of mine that see things from a different perspective so we can get a worldly diverse view on things. Because again, everything I say isn't gold. You know, this isn't dogmatic, meaning like everything I say is definitely not going to be right. It might be right for me, but it might not be right for you, right? So we want to make sure we're entering that level of curriculum, you know, into the process here. That's kind of the cool stuff. Let me tell you the bad stuff. The whole course is set up to be as vulnerable as possible. And that's not just from you, you know, that's from me too. You know, I'm going to tell you how I felt when I got fired, you know, from a business that I started. You know, I'm going to tell you how I felt when my best friend, you know, effed me over and kicked me out of a business that I was in. I'm going to tell you how I felt about, you know, firing my first employee, which are all extremely emotional subject matters. And you're going to have to go there too. You're going to have to say, I was insecure. That's really hard to say to people. I was insecure. Because we don't talk like that. And I often say, if we treat others the way we treat ourselves, we'd be horrible people. And what I mean by that is like, we're not nice to ourselves. So I want to tap into that, because if you're going to build something authentic, or if you're going to get that awesome job that boss has to look at you and really feel trust and feel like you're empowered to do so, you're going to have to show them who you really are. You can't hide that shit, right? 90% of interviews, by the way, 93.5% of all statistics are made up on the spot. Figure that one out. But 90% of all interviews are bullshit. Like, it's not them. You're putting on this like stranger face of like not who you are. You're walking into a situation where you want them to see the best of you. And let me tell you something, that shit does not work. It doesn't work for a multitude of reasons. It doesn't work because that's not really you. And it doesn't work because you're not understanding what they really need. You're just focused on yourself and if you get the job. And again, I'm not going to give up too much. We're going to talk about these things. And that's going to produce a level of vulnerability you're going to need to have with me. And if you're not ready to do that, we don't want you here. You know, plain and simple. But let me give you an example. I just thought of it because we built this over like the pandemic. And I think this is something that, you know, I just want to inspire a little thought around the things that you might want to build. So a buddy of mine, I was looking for a project, right? Work was slow. You know, when the pandemic hit, you know, I was looking for like something passionate I can get into. And something big, something that really helped people, you know? And as you get older, I just feel like it's natural to ask yourself, you know, how can I make a positive impact on the world? If you're not thinking about that now, right? You could be thinking about my career and how I'm going to move out of my parents' house and, you know, how I'm going to make my first dollar on my own, you know, how am I going to support myself? How I'm going to be rich? But you get to a certain place in life where you really, luckily I've had the benefit of having the ability to say, how could I make a better impact in the world? How could I help as many people as possible? Part of that is this, you know, things like this, which I love doing. But I was really like, this COVID. I'm a New Yorker. You know, I live in Manhattan. I hate to say this, I lived in Manhattan. I now live in Brooklyn, which is a whole story in itself. But we were really impacted right away. I mean, this thing was silently going through the subways and nobody knew it was here. I mean, at least in Florida, you got the benefit of like seeing it before it actually hit. You know, what New Yorkers it was hitting, we didn't even know. And a lot of my friends went to the hospital. You know, we lost some people, older people. I've had dozens of friends that got it. The first case was reported in New York State the day after somebody got it at Alley, at our headquarters. So I knew this thing was going to be huge. As it was starting to spread around the country, I was like, what do I do? Like, what can I do? Like, where do I stand? Like, what's my role here? And my friend went to me and said, we have this project that I'm thinking about doing. We want to do a minimum viable way of launching this thing. We want to get $1,000 a month into the hands of families that need money right now. I was like, I am in. I am in. And I agreed to be a marketing volunteer of the founding team of this thing that was just started as an idea. And we all got together and we were like, well, what are the problems we're going to face while getting $1,000 into the hands of people that need it? One of the problems was, how do we know that they actually need it? Like, we're afraid of fraud. So we thought about building a community, a trusted community of people that can talk to each other about families that they knew needed help. And you could nominate families. Fast forward, and we are months later. Wait, what is it? March, April, May, June, July, August. 6 months later, and we funded $3 million into the hands of families that directly needed the money. That's people that didn't have any way to make a dollar and have kids, single parents that had no way of making a living. And we got them money directly into their hands. And last week, we just announced Andrew Yang partnered with the company. His organization, Humanity First, partnered with the 1K Project, which is the name of the project. And as we're speaking, I have a Slack that's directly linked up to the project. Every time a family gets funded, it goes into a notification and a wins column comes up. And as I'm speaking to you, several notifications have come through. So let's build that, Yeah, by the way, you don't have to build that, but we built that. Just a few people that got together that wanted to make an impact. And I'm not telling you that you have to do a nonprofit. I'm a capitalist. I built my businesses to make money, right? In my later years, I have the privilege to be in a position where I can use my time to help people, but that doesn't have to be you. It could be embodied into your project, into the role that you take, in the career that you choose, but it doesn't have to be the lead. Now we're going to go into that. So I think that's a really good example of just building something. And I think that's a really good way to go into the topic of conversation right now, which is our why. Now, our why is like a simple term, and I don't know if you saw Simon Sinek's TED Talk on why, right? It's so powerful. Simon Sinek broke down how the why is a formula that is embodied in successful businesses. And it's the core differentiator between a company that has a really great product, a great service, and the spiritual essence of why we're doing what we're doing. And I just want to tell you that Simon Sinek talks about Apple too. Apple creates the most beautiful products. I mean, you take them out of the box and you just feel it. You just know. And then you could, and when you buy a product and you're like, oh, the Instagram was so great. And it followed me around for 3 months and I finally bought this thing, and you get it and it just sucks. It's like this crappy wrapping. And it's like, it's not going to be a good product. But then once in a while, you buy something that's just got that Apple feel. The box has a texture to it. They thought about everything. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is that person that built that, the people that built that, the team that built that, thought about that experience. They thought about you feeling the box and opening it up. And that's deeper than just making money. That's filling people with an experience. And if you start to look at your project like that, you start to talk about the why they're doing what they're doing. So I think that's a really good, I know that's a really good prelude into the talk that we're about to do right now.